Alright, let's try this again. Hi, it's Kitty Wolf 13, and excuse me, getting over that cold. Yeah, I just wanted to unwind and chit-chat some more about some dolls. Something other than the BJD retreat, because as excited as we are, I'm sure you guys want to hear something else other than that. So, a while back, and by a while I mean like several months ago, I asked you guys if you wanted to hear about some stories, and it was unanimously voted on that you guys did want to hear some stories. I did run across a story, and I have my handy dandy tablet here to read excuse me, some excerpts to you about a BJD story I started writing about Ringo and his adventures. This girl here, I think, might be part of the story. It might be part of another story that's sort of related to this one. So this is a new girl of mine. She's a jury, I believe it's 2005, maybe 2006. It's the one with the weird, kind of happy eyes. But she was on my Delph wish list, so to speak. And I recently was able to acquire her. So, yeah. I thought I'd share her with you because I might talk about some things. If you guys remember, my Nonuri 06 twins are supposed to be twins and kind of like a constellation thing. That's kind of where I'm going. I suddenly feel the desire to have a celestial body in my dolls, so like based on the constellations. So I'm thinking she's Cygnus, the swan. And I don't know why or how, but yeah. It's really a really undeveloped idea. It's just something that I have in my head nagging around. So really, this story is about, besides Ringo, it's about a little cat. A cat named Omi. Omi is a Pipos Baja, the original release, so I've had him for pretty much as long as Pipo first released them. He's single jointed. He has the original face makeup. Somewhere I have his human hands. He's got the cat paws and the cat feet, and I don't know what this string is. And it is the version that has no tail, because when Pipos Baja originally came out, he had no tail. So, he's got a single jointed torso. Very simple. And a lot of people would complain that he couldn't pose, but he does stand very well. But yes. So this story is a story about a white cat. And, let's see, it's 3 minutes long. I don't think I'll be able to read the whole thing to you guys. And I'm sorry that there isn't anything more interesting to look at. But let's see here. And you guys can tell me if this is any good. So, starts off. His pink eyes caught a glimpse of some movement in the corner of his eye. He smirked, thinking he had yet another toy to play with, and stood up from his table that seemed to be floating in midair in the pitch-black room. On the table was a mortar and pestle made of the darkest green jade. Wandering about and wondering where he was a small white cat. The cat looked super confused, especially since all he could see was pitch black. Suddenly the cat noticed the figure watching it. The figure was tall and slender, but his skin was all wrong. It was gray, and he had pink, piercing eyes. Also, oddly enough, he had long, feathery rabbit ears mixed in with his sable-colored hair. The cat just stared and stared, and the figure laughed out loud. "You look confused," he said. The cat said nothing. The figure came closer to the cat, and the cat started to back away, but figured it was probably useless and stopped. The gray man leaned over and tapped the cat on the lips, and there was a sudden glow that seemed to fill the air. Filled with all sorts of colors, where the air was filled with all sorts of colors. The cat's eyes went wide, tracking all the colors, and his eyes darted back and forth. "I have given you the gift of speech, so speak," the gray man said. "Where am I?" the cat finally stammered out after he seemed to wrestle with the words. The words obviously being new to his brain, since cats could never speak before. And I don't know what happened to my tablet. I think I hit the backspace. I hit the backspace. Sorry about that, guys. The words obviously being new to his brain since cats could never speak before. You're on the moon, the gray man answered plainly. The moon? Who are you? Asked the cat. My name is Waka. Waka the great poet. He smiled mischievously. Suddenly there was another rush of color, and then a cool breeze that carried with it a few cherry blossoms. In entered another large figure. This one, however, gleamed a beautiful white, but upon his head was a fiery ball of orange hair. His eyes were piercing green with speckles of gold and orange, his head adorned with some horns and some of the most ornate kimonos. This man seemed angry for a moment, but not at the cat, but at the being who had just given his name to be Waka. Waka, you are far from the great poet. Are you playing with our new guest? His voice bellowed out over the expanse of the room. No, rang two. I was simply introducing myself, Waka said with a grimace, knowing there would be a scolding later. I see you have once again left your work in favor of playing games. He seemed lost, so I figured I would help him out. Surely the great Rangtu would be pleased with the kindness in my efforts, Waka again spoke slowly, in hopes of gaining Rangtu's pleasure. Enough, go back to work. I will deal with the newcomer, Rangtu said with an air of attitude. Rangtu swept his arm through the air, and suddenly the room filled with lights and colors. The cat could now see that this was more than just a room. It appeared to be a courtyard, only it was completely open to the starry night that was now unveiling itself above their heads. Even though it was obviously nighttime, by the appearance of all the stars, the room glowed with the light of the sun, and there was a warmth that filled all the interiors. There was also trees growing in random places, with their branches spreading out like a ceiling, often covering the night sky above. Tell me, cat, do you approve of my castle? Rangtu asked. The cat looked and stared, obviously moved by all that had unveiled itself to him. He sat down, however, and began to clean his long, beautiful tail. After a few minutes, he looked back at Rangtu. It is most beautiful, but not as beautiful as I, the cat replied. Oh, is that so? What is your name, cat? Rangtu asked. My name is Omi, the cat replied. Omi, huh? Such a simple name for a cat, with such a big ego, Rangtu replied. Rangtu walked over to Omi and knelt down. He smiled a great big smile, and Omi felt he may have overstepped his boundary. Rangtu patted Omi on the head and stood up again. He turned around and took a few steps back towards Waka, who had resumed his place at the table and seemed to be grinding something in his bowl. Waka's eyes glanced upward at Rangtu and then quickly back to his work. Rangtu paced for a few moments, leaving Omi to sit in his own anxiety. Do you know where you are, Omi? Rangtu finally said. The moon, Omi replied. Yes and no. This is my castle, and it does indeed reside on the moon. However, my dear Omi, this is death, Rangtu said. Omi gasped a little and began to step away. The snow-white cat was suddenly afraid of his beautiful surroundings. When did this happen? How did it happen? He couldn't be dead. There was no way he could be. Just a moment ago he was running away from one of the neighborhood kids who was trying to brush his beautiful fur, and then he stopped. Yes, Omi, you are indeed dead, Rangtu said with a strange smile. How? Omi stammered. Shall I show you? Or just tell you? Rangtu said. I think words shall suffice, Omi replied. You were hit by a car as you ran away from a small child who only wished to pet and brush your beautiful long fur. Do you still not know why you're here? Rangtu asked. I suppose not. Is this heaven? Omi asked. Rangtu laughed out loud with a voice that startled Omi and caused Waka to drop his pestle on the long table. Its sound rang out but was drowned by drowned out by Rangtu's loud laughter. Rangtu whirled around, his kimono floating in the invisible winds of the colors and smells. He leaned over Omi and petted him again. The feeling of his hand was both heavy and comforting to Omi. You, my friend, are here for punishment. Yet I feel great promise in you as well. But in the end, it will be your choice. It's your vanity that landed you in my domain and nothing else. Rangtu explained, with great flourishes of his sleeves. Sparks of color flew away and temporarily dazzled Omi. Choice? Questioned Omi. Yes, a choice. You can choose to move onto whatever judgment allows your soul to rest for all of time. Or you could choose to work for me, Rangtu said with a simple smile. Move on? Where? Omi asked quietly. Waka eyed Omi carefully for a moment. His expression was that of a warning, but he had a smile on his face as if to say another spirit to play with. Rangtu took a moment to turn silently and reprimand Waka for not paying attention to his duties, and Waka took the cue and went back to mashing the unidentifiable herbs in his bowl. Rangtu turned back to Omi and tucked his arms inside his large bell sleeves. Either heaven or hell, of course, Rangtu said, with a little more sternly, and his smile fading a bit. You wouldn't by chance know which of those would be my next home? Omi asked. It's not my place to say. While I am a high god, I am not the Almighty who judges all and tells individuals of their fates. Therefore, the choice is still very much yours, Rangtu continued with a steady tone. Omi's green eyes searched the room for a few minutes. He tried to think about all the tiny details that flourished in this huge courtyard. It looked pleasant enough, despite the expressions Waka kept flashing at Omi from behind Waka's back. Somehow, in the distance, Omi could hear some birds singing, and he began to slightly daydream about chasing birds in a beautiful field. A slight sound from Rangtu brought Omi back to attention. What kind of work is it that you're looking for? Omi asked. I'm looking for a new tatimari. My last one got tired and finally chose to move on to the next realm, Rangtu said pleasantly. Tatimari? Omi asked. A spirit who takes care of leading the spirits of children to their final destination, Rangtu answered plainly. That doesn't sound so bad, Omi said, contemplating. Do keep in mind that does include taking the souls to both sides, good and bad, yin and yang. You know how it is. It can be a heavy burden, Rangtu said with, again, a still, steady voice. Omi looked at Rangtu. He appeared to be an interesting spirit. He couldn't place exactly what he was. He had long hair, with several different colors, white, orange, and teal. The horns pointed towards his back, almost as if to keep an eye out for him from behind. The rest of him was where things got interesting. He had large, clawed hands, and the further your eyes traveled down his body, you soon realized that what his robes were hiding were not legs of any human. He had large, impressive, hawk-like feet. As impressive as those feet were, Omi could not help but continue to look into Rangtu's eyes. They were green, rimmed with orange and gold, and there was something about his face that told Omi that he was both a stern ruler and a gentle one. Though his warnings seemed heavy, they also seemed to have a hint of honesty and adventure. And if I choose work? Omi asked. You will have to work for me, and listen to my biddings. You will have to sacrifice something most valuable to yourself, Rangtu said with a serious tone. Sacrifice something valuable? Omi thought about this. Omi looked down at himself and wondered what it could be that Rangtu would ask of him to sacrifice. He obviously was not alive anymore. He had no money to offer and no living kin to sacrifice. He was confused. What could a god possibly want? He thought for a few more moments and made a decision. Surely wherever Rangtu asked of him would never be as bad as possibly being stuck in hell for an eternity. Omi couldn't even fathom the horrors of hell, and he seriously doubted that he would land in heaven. He was never the nicest cat. He settled himself in the spot to look as much as possible as calm. To look as calm as possible. His long bushy tail gave his nervousness away, and he stared up at Rangtu, and his small cat lips seemed to get straight-lipped. Alright, then I choose servitude, Omi stated boldly. Are you sure, little Omi? It's not an easy job, and I won't ask again, Rangtu said while bending down to Omi's height, his body seemingly bending in unnatural ways. Excuse me. I'm certain. I'm not sure I'm ready to face eternity just yet, Omi stated a little placidly. Well, if that's your decision, then prepare yourself for sacrifice, Rangtu stated regally. And I see that this video is already 15 minutes long, so I'm probably going to stop there and see what you guys think. Would you like to hear more? There is actually quite a bit more. Excuse me. So yes, this is the story, and you're probably wondering, what does Ringo have to do with all of this? Originally, Ringo's story was a way for me to combine all my different dolls into one story. So it is a story of fantasy and spirits and different kinds of creatures and different sized dolls and different kinds of dolls, including elves and spirits. So this is just the beginning. So tell me, what do you think Omi is going to lose, and what do you think is in store for my cat? Did you enjoy what I read so far? Would you like to hear more? It's not finished, but there's still a bit there too that I can read to you guys, so let me know. And I guess I'll leave it at that. Thanks, guys. Good night.